So what we're
Yeah.
talking about today, we're talking about
Yeah, well,
the journey of our logo and
yeah, yeah, we wanted to celebrate our logo and just share some of the learnings we got out of that journey. It's probably been what, a 2 week journey now, and I mean it's been a longer journey in terms of the whole concept, but we've tried to now capture it into a representation,
yeah.
of
Yeah, I think
that.
it must have
Yeah.
been, and it's only a couple of weeks. And then you said this
Mm.
morning,
Mm.
oh, it's taking such a long time for this logo. And I was thinking to
Yeah.
myself, oh, I think we've actually done pretty good. But what's been quite cool again is just the
Mm.
different personalities and,
Mm.
then filtering and applying both of us having that perfectionism aspect and
Yeah.
wanting everything to be bang on before doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's been interesting? I mean, how many
Mm. Mm.
how many did we get all up? The logos how
Oh,
many did
so
we?
we had over 100 design concepts, about 120 odd design concepts. We used one of those online logo tools where you get multiple concepts submitted,
Yeah.
which was really powerful. And then very quickly, though, when the right one came through, we were both like, oh, you know, that's it, right? So we sort of narrowed, obviously you narrow the 100 down, and you probably 70% of them are kind of um, well, I suppose the first learning for me was that in being the balance between being too specific and kind of for those listening that may be interested in, around how to brief in a logo design, that one side of it you can be super specific and give them too much information so you stifle creativity. On the other hand, if you keep it too generic and let the creative juices flow too much, then you kind of don't really get what you're after. And we started out on that end. We were kind of went quite broad and quite wide. And then some
Mm.
of the interpretation of that we got, we're both kind of like, it's kind of not really exactly what we're after. And so then we tightened it up a wee bit and gave a little bit more detail. And then after doing that fine tuning process, we started getting some really good designs through that we liked. And other designers that had already submitted stuff did a couple of iterations and it started looking really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that
because
was quite
when
interesting.
we got those ones that we
Mm,
landed on that
mm, mm.
theme, we could tell straight away, right? It was like
Yeah,
bam.
yeah.
And then the last piece, which had come to me, I can't remember how it came to me specifically, but it's just
Mm,
because I just remember thinking, what is it I do and what do I love doing and the work that I do with the coaching and so forth. And one of my skills, one of my loves, purposes is to hold the mirror for people, which
mm,
is,
mm.
really having them see themselves and see all parts and see
Yeah.
the parts they haven't wanted to acknowledge, their shadows, the parts that they've maybe got some shame, some guilt around. And
Mm,
when I pitched that and we put that in there, just revolutionized it, right? Like added another layer of meaning encapsulated inside that visual on
yeah.
such a beautiful depth about what we're doing. And so that was the clincher, I think, for both
Yeah.
of us, wasn't it? It was like, yep, that's got to go in there.
Yeah. For those of you that, you can see the logo obviously on our content now and coming soon to be on the website and stuff. There's a warrior there facing off with a dragon. So it's essentially the hero on the journey and then being confronted by a dragon. And that was representing us, working through situations that confront us all the time. And then, but by taking that into actually um, a mirror where the dragon's reflecting back at the warrior, the realization that, oh man, it's actually my own
And it's
stuff, or
me.
that powerful stuff reflection of confronting my own demons or challenges or dragons or whatever. That's just a symbol, of facing fears, I suppose. And actually that's the hero's journey. So I think, yeah, it was really powerful to go from that being, an animal or a dragon or whatever it was to actually the mirror, Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
me.
And essentially, if you sum it up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what Freud coined, pretty sure it was Freud, but the shadow, your shadows or your shadow part are the parts of you that you
mm,
don't want to shed light on, the parts of you don't want to expose, the
yeah,
parts that you've got shame around, guilt around, and it's facing those
yeah,
parts. I mean, in our logo, it's a dragon, but essentially
mm,
you could call it demons. It's not so much a dragon. I
mm,
like dragons, but it's a demon. It's your shadows. It's the
yeah,
darkness. It's the parts that haven't had light shone on them.
yeah,
And it's through looking in your mirror and seeing those parts and first
yeah,
becoming aware. And that awareness is the portal or gateway
yeah,
deeper into yourself that
yeah,
then creates the liberation from the parts you've been
100%.
resisting that have been running the show subconsciously.
Yeah,
And that's what we've
100%.
summed up, which is
So
quite nice.
powerful. And a dragon is such a strong the word dragon demon is such a strong thing, and there's so much darkness and controversy around it. But I like that because, as you just said, often those are the parts that we hide away. And
Yeah,
as you
totally.
said, that where guilt gets triggered, self beating self up, self
Self-abandonment. Yeah.
abandonment, all of that real dark, deep stuff that just holds us back. And I think um we were speaking recently about how freeing it is. Like, so I'll share a little bit around, segueing into that a little bit. We can bring it back to the logo in a minute, but some of an integration piece that I recently did around feelings of betrayal, certain situation that happened to me when I was younger. I made it mean my voice, my voice couldn't be heard, and I felt betrayed at the time because I wasn't given the opportunity to speak up. And then that sort of pain or that situation has been with me for many, many years and had impact across my life. And it wasn't until I was aware of that, the self-reflection, had the balls, I suppose, to look at that, acknowledge it, and actually then go in and do some of the work to heal that. What I really found on my journey is that it's now created a new way of being. Like, after 2 or 3 days, the way I even thought about certain situations in my life was different. Like my relationship with my clients, relationship with money, relationship just with kind of being, state of being's changed as well. You know what I mean? And
Quite an
you
interesting,
mentioned that's
surreal
coming
feeling, isn't it?
home. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like you've
Mm,
kind of just, how do I put it? Because I'm with you on this. I mean, I've been doing this work quite intensely for 7 months now, just specifically
mm,
this kind of nuanced on what I was doing.
mm,
And it's like you've woken up again, another layer of awareness and a way of being where you're just
mm.
not as self-critical, not as fast to judge,
Yeah,
just expanded the nervous system to a different capacity to just be and be
yeah.
present. And then also acknowledge the different feelings that come up and the different states that you're in without beating yourself up, and self-deprivation is kind of a good way to explain it.
100%, 100%. And so for me, that logo symbolizes an actual my real journey,
Yeah,
and
it's
I know
quite
for you
beautiful,
it
eh?
symbolizes yours. And I'm hoping that it, captures the essence of other men and women that are willing to go inside, and face their fears and work through it, and change their state of being. It's pretty powerful, pretty
Yeah.
powerful symbol. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we extrapolate, if I go even
Mm,
broader on this, and
mm,
why I love what we've created so much and how it's represented in that image is,
mm.
well, there's also the infinity sign in there, which I
Yeah.
really love. And to
Yeah.
me, our soul's infinite. We're part
Mm,
of however you want to define it, the creator, God, the universe.
yeah.
I'm not religious, but I believe in a creator and intelligence, whatever. There's something that set everything up.
Yeah.
And so if you look at that, and then you go, well, we're souls having a human experience. To me, the infinity sign that we've got on there as well is the infinite
Yep.
wisdom that the universe has, that we're connected to, and also
Mm,
continual evolution
yep.
and growth, which
Yeah.
is, to me, what we're
Yeah.
here for. And so the
Mm,
philosophy I've adopted and have done for a long time now is to grow and
mm.
evolve.
Yeah.
And that's why, for me as well, the infinity sign is important, because it's continual. It's just continual
Yeah.
growth, evolution. And by looking in the mirror and actually
Mm,
facing that stuff,
mm.
facing our shadows, that's what gives us the darkness that we haven't want to see. That is what gives us that growth and
Yep.
evolution into the next realms of possibility. So
100%. 100%. Yeah, that's right. And that infinity symbol to me also captures the journey, the evolving flow of life's
mhm.
journey, like, the warrior's journey of that path in a sense, and also the balance between the fact that the triggers don't go away,
No,
so
hell
even though the
no.
integration's done, the awareness is there, the healing takes place, those triggers, kind of like, mini dragons or whatever challenges that pop up along the way, are still there, and the one I shared with you, for example, a couple of days ago, where I had my vehicle getting a what we call a warrant of fitness here, or a where
safety.
certification of roadworthy for safety, you know, and I had been told that my tires would be sufficient to go through the next warrant, but they weren't, and I failed the warrant, so I've got to replace them. And it's not a big deal, but it's, you know, it's
Well,
a
it
reasonable
kind of was at the
expense, and
time.
it was at the time
Yeah.
because it wasn't so much about the cost of it or and all that, but it was that, again, that feeling of betrayal. Actually, I was told something, but now all of a sudden, someone with all the power to pass my vehicle or not pass my vehicle has not passed my vehicle with that, you know. And so the same trigger came up, and I went into little boy mode, and my lip quivered, and I, you know, oh, what, but, you know. So for that sort of minute or two, or actually probably more like 5 minutes, it wasn't until I got in my vehicle and was driving home that I realized what had actually happened. I was like, oh, that's how I responded, you know. So it's being aware of that situation, those situations that pop up, and then obviously then going back and integrating that and breaking it down. But I think that the thing that I quite like about this work is that the more that I do that, then it gets to the point where when that pops up, I can see it straight away and then potentially just deal with it or respond in a more powerful way at the time. I don't know what else I could have potentially done in that situation, but I probably wouldn't have maybe lost my posture, for want of a better word. You know what I mean? Maybe not been triggered so much by it. I would have gone, oh, well, that's annoying, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
So it's,
important to in that moment as well,
mm,
just to honor the fact, okay, why did it make sense I was feeling this way?
mm,
And it made sense that you
yeah.
got triggered and that
Yeah.
you reacted that way because it was an old button about, not wanting to be betrayed that had been
Mm,
raw,
yeah.
feeling like you've been betrayed again by someone that was in a position of authority and taking your power away. And
Mm.
so it makes complete sense that went into that wounded masculine and reacted that way.
Yeah, which is kind of funny now because like I really get the fact that we're all kids still
Yeah,
at times,
100%.
you know, and then when something triggers off like that, we just act like, well, I don't know how old I would have been there, but like, you know, I look back and just go, far out, like that was little kid Joel having a
There's little
wee mini
Joel having a little
tanty.
tanty. Yeah, having a little fucking tanty, throwing his toys.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
so it's so it's
It's
so cool.
interesting actually you say that because Leo said to me the other day, and it's something I don't know whether he
Mm,
heard it from me or where he heard it from, but I say the same thing, so probably
yeah,
was. But he goes,
yeah,
Dad, you're just a kid as well. And I was like, yep, absolutely I am. I said, I've just been around a bit longer than you. And
yeah.
I think that's a really good reframe and reference too, is to
Mm,
always remember that your parents,
yeah,
if you're older and you've got adult kids, they're still kids, you're still a kid. Everyone is just children and they've
yeah,
just been around longer.
yeah,
And when you can't look at it like that, you can stay playful, but you can also have some empathy and compassion for yourself and the fact
yeah.
that when your nervous system is wired when we're younger and we've got all those traumas stored and stacked in there and
Mm,
anchored
mm,
in there, that's the shit that comes out no matter where you are in life. That's all
yeah.
that wiring that's been programmed in that then activates you. So,
Ah, definitely. And you know, and also empathy for others. You know, the more
yeah,
work I do on
absolutely.
myself, the more I can see, you know, people getting triggered and responding in ways which they're not even aware of as well. You
Yeah.
know, fears, insecurities, conflict, inability to handle a situation or process emotion or process stress or whatever it might be. It's all around us, and I think that's the beauty with the hero's journey. I think that, you know, I personally believe that there is a bit of not a bit of a significant change happening in the, I don't know, let's just say human race or species or whatever you want to call us. And I don't know, I don't want to put a label. I don't know if it's a spirit thing, if it's an evolution thing or whatever it is, but it seems to be that more and more people are starting to um, want to understand this sort of stuff, you know, and
Yeah,
actually
totally.
break out of some of the paradigms or break out of some of the stuff that's holding them back. And like, there's always been this sort of niche of, you know, personal growth and personal development on that, but it seems to be more and more people I talk to are quite comfortable holding a conversation in that space and, you know, looking for ways to grow.
Yeah,
and
our
to for
consciousness is
more.
definitely shifting.
Yeah.
And as we do that, this work's been around for a while. It's all
Mm.
obviously kept evolving, and the nervous system work seems to be quite big. Then there's nuances to that and different kind of modalities and how they work with it and do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely the way of the future in addressing trauma. And,
Mm.
again, as the old system changes, we've digressed from the logo, but it's good. It's a good digression.
Yeah.
As information changes, as old veils drop and systems and controlling mechanisms drop, we're coming into a new age again. And information, I believe, has been around for a fucking long time anyway. But we're stepping into this new realm of energetics, around spirituality, around how the nervous system stores things. And so instead of searching for a pill for every ill, I should have been a rapper, not really. Then it's moving back into looking within and actually healing thyself, which we have all the resources and capabilities to do. So it's quite exciting.
Oh,
so anyway,
definitely.
back to the logo. After we like dance into those different areas, which are nice areas.
Yeah.
But you and I both have, and for anyone else that can relate, both of us have perfectionism streaks where if I go back when I was younger, there was the high critical parent. And then also I was highly critical of myself and needing to get everything just right. And if I didn't get it right, I'd shit the bed type thing. It was like a meltdown.
Yeah.
And so again, when you had that in you so long, it's been a journey to not just avoid that part, but like actually accept it, embrace it, validate it, and then allow it to like show up, but then move through it.
Yeah.
So, and that's definitely been a big difference I've noticed, because you and I have talked, we've done projects together in the past. We were in the direct selling company together. We then, from memory, I think we went into mobile mixology then together. We set up, and that was pretty cool how we built that from scratch on the smell of an oily rag, and you were in charge of all the web and marketing and that, and I was in charge of pulling the team together and making the sales, and we did that really well, right? And we went through all those, I remember the phases there and getting it right and doing this, and everything seemed a lot harder back then compared to it now, when we've been pulling this together.
Yeah.
And it's just part of, for me, and you can speak on your part in a minute, is the realization is just surrendering as well, just surrendering and going, one of the big philosophies I've really got is fuck it. There is no perfect. And I always knew this. We've all probably heard these intellectualizations and concepts of, well, there is no perfect, so just do it. And what is perfect? And but when you finally kind of get to a point of knowing and understanding about that part, you can just kind of, it's felt easy just to let go. Like, it doesn't mean you're not going to lay your eyes on it. It's not going to pop up and you're going to want to dissect it and look at it and question it. But it's been so easy to move on. Whereas compared to, like, say, we would been 15 years ago, it's way different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think that sort of space of coming home to self and, as you said, surrendering, because, for me, if I make it, about me, because I can speak from that space as opposed to speaking about you or they, it's about I, is there was a lot of the fears and anxieties and maybe it's the default ways of being which have been built, like if the foundation was built upon with protection mechanisms in place, and one of them was perfectionism, or the trait I learned, like, get it right. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. If it's not perfect, then can't do it. And so procrastination would kick in and it would get to the point where it just would drag out forever or never actually get it done, or do you know what I mean? And you're right. You hear so many sort of sayings, oh, we'll just get it live and fix it later and all that kind of stuff. But I think, coming to that place of surrender and trust that the right people come along at the right time, the right thing, the right revenue comes along at the right time, all those sort of things, like, it just brings a new element to the process and the project and in our journey, in our case with the logo, we've done the work. You still have to I believe I still have to do the work. We still have to do the work to make it happen. Like, it doesn't just magically appear out of the ether. Maybe one day it might, but you know what I mean? At the moment, you've still got to, the things come along, you still have to grab them and go, okay, great, we like that one. Now that we've grabbed that, let's fine tune it, but let's not get stuck on the
Yeah.
fine tuning, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, totally. And it was quite nice witnessing the journey. As I said, I think before we started the call, you were kind of starting to rev a little high, which was good. No judgment, but I could feel you like, it comes through in your messages every now and then. Come on, man, should we just get this one? Let's get this chosen today. And to be fair, it's because we had a timeline that we've self-imposed energetically to get things done. But I just enjoyed witnessing that, observing it, and knowing and seeing and feeling where you're at, and going, "Oh yeah, he's chomping at the bit," which is good. And it gave me a nice little irk along. And
and I think that's the beauty of working together.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, I was talking to a good friend of mine as well, who's launched a couple of online businesses, and he works with his brother. And just that short conversation I had with him about that, I really realized the power in actually working with someone else on a project or a business.
Oh, massive.
Someone you can trust. And
100%. I look at this too. Like you and I, if we go into wealth creation profiles like we've done in the past, and there's many variations of these, and you being a supporter predominantly, me being the star predominantly, and Roger Hamilton's wealth dynamics, which essentially means Joel's great at implementation, Joel loves to support someone that kind of drives and leads. And so that's where I sit. I'm in that, what they call a star profile or creator, where I love to create and kind of push and lead and have a vision, but I'm fucking terrible at implementation. And so when you pull those two together, which is where we fit, it's like the yin and the yang. And so with my vision or drive to do stuff, but inability to implement, and you put that together, Joel's like the engine that actually gets a lot of the shit done otherwise. And so it works really brilliantly. So for example, I would struggle getting this done on my own, just as I can imagine you would struggle with aspects too and getting this done on your own. So
I think it's the different strengths and the different skill sets, to managing the project, like the logo, for example, like how we worked on that has been really effective, I think those details aside as well, though, I think it's important, the alignment on the journey, excuse the pun, like, our alignment on what we're trying to achieve has been really easy for me. Like, I've been in business with other people and along the ways and stuff like that. And one of the big learnings I've had along the last, say, 15 years has been to make sure up front that I'm aligned, that everyone's aligned, because otherwise you get sort of halfway through, or 2 years in the track or 6 months in the track, and you kind of go, oh, actually, this person wanted something completely different and I wasn't aware of it, and it's fine. And then it either you readjust expectations and alignment and carry on, or people go their separate ways amicably. But it's quite interesting. So I think, that's been really easy. The fact that we can, get a logo signed off within 1.5, 2 weeks or whatever it is, capturing all of the essence of everything that we want to be about, it's pretty powerful and speaks to that alignment on what our journey is, and so I suppose
because I think, if we go back to Mobile Mixology, the cocktail catering company, like, we loved the idea. You were on board, but it wasn't like I wouldn't say it was a spiritual or a deep fulfillment to do it. It was a project. You liked being involved, and same with me. It was something that was a cool concept. I love the social aspect, but it wasn't something that was really deep and meaningful and purposeful. Not really. And then we had others that came into it that had their own agendas and stuff that didn't match up, and it ended up becoming a bit of a mess. Whereas when I look at the evolution of this, and if I think about it, I just started through conversations, and we kind of pitched an idea, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see myself doing this. And then I was like, I had a slightly different vision. I could see you and me doing this together. And I remember you thinking you're going to have your own one and doing something slightly different. And then all of a sudden, as we kind of just kept bouncing, it kind of just all kind of came together. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I hadn't seen it like that. And then next thing, we kind of started bouncing back and forth a bit more, and it just kind of evolved, and here we are. And if I talk about congruency and then what feels right, and I think I speak for both of us on this, there's a deep sense of congruency and purpose and mission that's fulfilling something a lot deeper than, like, I'm not doing this for money. Yes, of course, there's going to be money involved, and there's going to be economics and so forth, but so much more than that. And
Yeah.
that is the essence of whatever you choose to do, to me,
Yeah.
is the key, because then you're just innately, intrinsically driven
Yeah.
to want to provide value and show up in a way that
Yeah.
you can't lie about. The energetics behind that
Yeah.
depth of vision and purpose just doesn't lie, and it's felt. It's
Yeah.
felt when people receive it and when you give out.
Yeah.
And so that's where the magic really comes. And that's what we've both been experiencing from a perspective of vibrationally when we're doing our content and stuff. And it's like just basically connecting and channeling through just this purpose. So, yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's, like I've been in business for a long time and seen many, many different businesses, from corporate juggernauts through to mum and dad run franchises, and it's quite interesting. I think it's part of the hero's journey and part of doing the work. I think that the more the more I work on myself, the more clarity I get around fulfillment in every area of my life, including making money, so I don't just go down and, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to put a label on. Let's just talk mobile mixology. So instead of going and setting up a mobile cocktail business, which we did to make money and for the social engagement and like generate leads online and sales and all that sort of stuff, it then more becomes about actually what do I really enjoy doing? What am I passionate about? What can I jump on a microphone and spend an hour with Joel or with Mike talking about stuff that and never run out of content? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like that actually we get excited about. And look, for some people that might be mixing cocktails, and that's fine because they're so passionate about it. That's kind of my point, is I'm loath to sort of pick a kind of thing, a niche to sort of as an example, but I think that's the key, because not everyone wants to talk about what we want to do, but they might want to, talk about the latest NFL players and interview them or whatever. Look at all the different podcasts that are out there, so many different various niches. But I think the point really is for people that are considering doing this or
whatever they're choosing to do, right? No, whatever they're putting themselves to.
Yeah, or are kind of sort of stuck in a rut or questioning where they're at or what industry they're in. Just a reminder, in my experience, it's a lot easier to make that decision once you start reflecting in the mirror and getting rid of some of the blankets or the crap or shit or whatever you want to call it, that's sort of holding that true self back. As soon as you start removing those onion layers, the crappy outside layers, and the beautiful inside part starts to come out, that's when it's kind of like, holy moly, okay, I get it now. And that's when it's just like, okay, this is where I'm at and what I want to do,
On that too, man, it's interesting. So if I go back then, this is about 10 years ago, I think 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, we'd set that up. So it was just after the earthquakes here in Christchurch, and there was a hole in the market, a niche where, and we were doing corporate functions, and we built that thing on nothing. I think it was running 2.5 years and it was going well.
Yeah.
But I was interested over that time, and I had another online e-commerce business that I was a part of, where I was managing the Christchurch region and doing sales. And I had the direct selling business coming in, bringing me in quite a lot of passive income from all the work I'd done as well. So I actually had quite a few streams of income coming in. I had a lot of spare time on my hands, and it was probably one of the times I was actually the least happy, because I realized doing the e-commerce stuff, I was adding some value and helping businesses and that. And I'd stepped out of coaching again for a little while and speaking, which I was doing with the direct selling company, and evolving and coaching and developing people. Yeah. And it was that time where I realized it wasn't the money. It wasn't the money. It was that made me happy, because I had time, I had the money, I had the cash flow. It was the giving back and doing what I absolutely fucking love, which is what we're now doing, and I'm doing on a bigger scale, which is the coaching and empowerment. Yeah. And so as soon as I came home to that, which I'm really very deep in now and have been for the last 9-10 years, that's what actually inspires me. And that's what actually gets me up and like fulfills me. Yeah. So that was a really good learning as well, is that, again, unless that purpose is connected, you can make money and you can make shitloads of money, and that's all cool. And maybe if money's your jam and finances is just your thing, and building finances and investments, cool, that's great if that's what gets you juiced up. But for me specifically, it was empowering and working with people and holding the mirror and helping them grow. And that's why this is, where this is now.
Yeah, so. Definitely. Yeah, 100%.